What was the funniest smartass comment you've ever heard? Story 1. Mom, how do your kids get through so much toilet paper? What are you eating? Brother, toilet paper. If you poop toilet paper, do you still have to wipe?
My scapula!
Story 2. I've told this story before. I asked a very tall guy, he was about 6'11", if he played basketball. He asked me if I played miniature golf. Story 3. There's a condom club at OSU that gives out 50 condoms for like $5 if you join and go to a seminar. The presenter was female and asked, "Now, before you have sex, what's the first thing you need?" The dude next to me, "A boner." Presenter, "No. Consent." And I remember nothing else from that presentation. Story 4.
I think I broke something.
You know, you look better without your glasses on. Yeah, you look better without my glasses on too. Edit. To those who have pointed out that it could have been a compliment, the accompanying sneer indicated that it was very much an insult. Story 5. I can't find it now, but there's a Reddit comment thread somewhere with a blind guy speaking about his computer setup. Someone says, "I'd love to see your keyboard," and he just replies, "So would I." Fucking stunning. Story 6. My cousin was 2 and being potty trained. She talked early and was quite intelligent. The first time she pees in the toilet of her own volition, her mom gets all excited. "Oh my gosh, Julia, did you just go potty?" Julia puts her little hands on her hips and says, "Well, it's not lemonade." Story 7. In an elevator with a bunch of people going down to leave the building, this guy has a really nice pipe in his mouth, but it's not yet lit. This lady says in a really nasty voice, "There's no smoking in this building." The guy says, "Lady, I have an ass, but I'm not farting." Story 8. Sidewalk Cafe in San Francisco. A fast-walking, drunk, stoned, wide-eyed guy grabbed a glass of wine from a guy who was seated at one of the tables, then continued on. The guy whose wine glass was stolen spun around in his chair and shouted, "I spit on your soul." The drunk, stoned, wide-eyed guy turned around to walk backwards a few steps, saying, "Where my soul's at, spit evaporates before it even hits." Story 9. This wasn't the funniest, but it was a really recent one. I was playing Rock of Ages and cursing at my mammoths to knock the other guy's boulder off the edge. Friend, if you keep treating your mammoths so badly, they're just going to leave you. Me, that shouldn't be a problem. I didn't name any of them his ex-girlfriend's name. He demanded an apology, written in cursive. Story 10. Dad, son, have you seen my phone? Son, what does it look like? Dad, 2 horses fucking. It's a phone, son. It looks like a phone. Story 11. In college, an ex-girlfriend comes over to visit. Roommates are getting blazed in the living room. Her and I are chilling in my bedroom. She goes into the living room and tells the guys, "It's starting to smell like weed in NC Chance's bedroom." Brilliant roommate. As opposed to what? Masturbation and loneliness? Story 12. I used to work at an ice cream shop, and the guy ordered 2 sundaes. One was vanilla with chocolate syrup, and another was coconut with hot fudge. I gave him the sundaes, rang him up, and he roared back, "You didn't mark these. How do I know which one's hot fudge?" And I just replied, "The one that's hot." My boss died on the floor laughing because of my nonchalantness. Story 13. A friend of mine was shoveling snow out of his driveway one day when his neighbor came over while smoking a cigarette and started complaining that the smoke from my friend's chimney was drifting over to his house and causing his family breathing problems. My friend said, "Well, you smoke." He replied, "Well, I smoke outside." And my friend said, without missing a beat, "So does my chimney." The audacity required to come over while smoking. I had a calculus teacher my senior year of high school who would go out to his car between classes to smoke. One day a girl sees that his window is cracked and smoke is coming out, and so goes up and knocks on the car. "Mr. Blank, what are you doing?" "I'm electing the Pope." Edit, explanation of the punchline. When electing the Pope, the cardinals released black or white smoke from their chimney to signal whether or not they had made a decision. Story 14. In grade school, we were at lunch and the sun was blaring through some windows into my friend's face. He gets up to fix the blinds so we could see. The principal sees him and walks up to him and asks what he's doing. He says, "I thought I would adjust the blinds so I could see better." The principal goes on to yell at him and tell him not to fix the blinds, they are very expensive. Then proceeds to tell next time don't think. I, being a smartass, replied, "Yeah, Andy, how dare you think at school?" My parents got to meet the principal that afternoon. If my kid got in trouble for saying that at school, on the way from picking him up, I would ask him if he wanted pizza or ice cream. Story 15. Mean but unintentionally smart-ass funny. Mr. Hykra was a grumpy art teacher in my junior high that had a wooden leg. One day this Russian student Igor, who spoke very broken English, was telling a story about how he spent hours in the night before working on his painting, only to have his younger sister finger paint all over it while he was away, so he didn't have it. Mr. Hykra said, "You're pulling my leg, Igor." He paused for a second and said, "Oh, no, I wouldn't do that, Mr. Hykra. It would fall off." The class erupted, and IIRC, he got a few days of detention for that. That's some bullshit detention right there. Igor only tells the truth. Story 16. I read maybe 4 to 5 years ago about a group of friends that were all pregnant at the same time. Someone made the comment of, "There must be something in the air." And someone said, "Yeah, their leg." I've been holding on to it all this time, hoping to use it, but no one has ever set it up for me. Story 17. In high school English class, we were doing a quick play acting summary of Oedipus. We chose a few people to play Oedipus as mom and some other characters. Some of the other characters were played by a normally very reserved and quiet dude. Teacher says, "Okay, start." He immediately turns to Oedipus and says, "You motherfucker." Dude didn't even get in trouble. It was so funny. We did something like that in history where everyone acted like a dictator. Some kids Hitler. I'm Mussolini, that sort of thing. We each have a paragraph to read, and it gets to my buddy's turn and he's just staring at his paper. The teacher calls his name 3 times before he looks up and says, "Oh, sorry, I was just stalling." Story 18. The reply of Messi to Ronaldo's comments. Ronaldo told the media that he was sent by the god of football, soccer that is, to teach people how to play. After being hassled by the press, Messi immediately replies, "I don't remember sending him." To this day, in the debate as to who is the current greatest footballer, I bring up this line. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch our YouTube video. If you find our content helpful and enjoyable, please click the subscribe button to stay updated on any new videos we share in the future. Thank you once again, and we hope to see you in our next upcoming videos.